I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel.
Commander Diana Winter stood at the viewport of Orbital Station Zenith, watching construction drones weave the final neural conductive panels into place on humanity's most ambitious project. The UES Helios stretched nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern, its pearlescent hull catching Earth's reflected light. Unlike the aggressive profiles of military vessels or the utilitarian bulk of cargo ships, the Helios possessed an almost organic quality, as if it had been grown rather than built. The Cetacean Council is demanding another inspection, reported Executive Officer Marcus Rodriguez, his dark eyes reflecting the holographic message floating before him. They're convinced we're building some kind of psychic weapon. Diana allowed herself a small smile. The greatest weapon we're building is understanding, Marcus. Though I doubt they'd believe that. The Helios represented humanity's response to finding themselves late arrivals to an already crowded galaxy. When Earth achieved faster-than-light travel in 2189, they discovered a complex web of alliances, rivalries, and cold wars between dozens of established species. The Cetacean Council, evolved from aquatic mammals on a distant water world, had ruled the galactic core for millennia. The crystalline Nexian Empire controlled the spiral arms, while the silicon-based Alterian Collective dominated the galactic north. Humanity, barely 2 centuries into its interstellar age, was treated as an upstart species barely worth diplomatic consideration. But Earth's scientists had discovered something none of the older races had thought to explore, the possibility of linking consciousness across species barriers. Dr. Raj Patel, the project's chief scientist, joined them at the viewport. His weathered face bore the marks of countless sleepless nights spent perfecting the ship's neural interface systems. Final calibrations are complete on the primary synchrosphere, he reported. Though I still think testing it on this scale is risky. The small-scale tests were successful, Diana reminded him. And we don't have the luxury of time. The Nexian-Alterian war is expanding. If we don't intervene soon, it could engulf half the galaxy. The Helios's central synchrosphere was a massive chamber capable of linking the consciousness of thousands of beings simultaneously, allowing them to share experiences, memories, and perspectives across species boundaries. The theory was simple: it was much harder to maintain hatred for someone once you'd lived inside their mind. The ship's crew of 800 represented Earth's finest neurons, scientists, diplomats, psychologists, and consciousness specialists. Traditional military personnel were conspicuously absent, though Diana's background in conflict resolution had earned her command. The Cetaceans are sending their high speaker, Marcus announced. Along with observers from 6 other council races. Diana nodded. Good. The more witnesses we have for the demonstration, the better. She turned to Raj. Begin final preparations. We launch in 3 days, whether they approve or not. The next 72 hours passed in a blur of activity. Diana supervised final crew rotations while dealing with increasingly strident diplomatic protests. The Nexians had positioned a battle fleet at the edge of the solar system, while the Alterians threatened economic sanctions against Earth's colonies. The night before launch, Diana recorded a message for her daughter back on Earth. Remember what I taught you about fear, Zara. It's not wrong to be afraid, but we can't let fear stop us from doing what's right. What we're about to attempt could change everything. If it works, you'll inherit a very different galaxy than the one I grew up in. Launch day arrived with a solar system full of alien observers. The Helios's engines, conventional fusion drives deliberately chosen to appear non-threatening, pushed it gracefully out of Earth orbit. Diana stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display track dozens of alien vessels shadowing their course. Set course for the Nexian-Alterian front, she ordered. Maximum sustainable speed. Commander, Marcus cautioned, entering an active war zone without authorization. Will be seen as provocative? Diana finished. Good. Sometimes you have to provoke people into paying attention. She addressed the bridge crew. What we carry isn't a weapon. It's a mirror, one that will force people to truly see themselves and each other. The galaxy's oldest powers have spent millennia perfecting the art of separation. We're going to remind them what it means to connect. The Helios accelerated toward its destiny, carrying humanity's greatest gift, and greatest gamble, into the stars. Whether it would bring understanding or chaos remained to be seen, but Diana knew one thing with certainty: after today, the galaxy would never be quite the same. The UES Helios crossed into contested space with an escort of warships from 6 different species, though escort was a polite word for what amounted to an armed guard. Commander Diana Winter watched the massive Nexian dreadnought keeping pace off their starboard bow, its crystalline surface refracting starlight into prismatic patterns. "They're hailing us again," Lieutenant Olivia Nash reported from communications. "The Nexian admiral is insistent about knowing our intentions." "Open a channel to all vessels," Diana ordered, straightening her uniform. The holographic interface sparkled to life, displaying the varied faces of multiple alien commanders. The Nexian admiral's crystalline form pulsed with suspicious red light, while the Alterian representative's silicon-based features remained rigidly impassive. "Honored representatives," Diana began, "you've all come believing the Helios represents a threat. In moments, we'll prove otherwise. We're approaching the site of the Battle of Viridian, where 10,000 Nexian and Alterian lives were lost last month. I invite each of you to send a small delegation aboard. Let us show you why humanity built this ship." Dr. Raj Patel's voice came through her private comm: "The synchrosphere is ready, Commander. Though I still have concerns about attempting this with multiple species simultaneously." "Noted, Doctor," Diana subvocalized. "But we're committed now." The alien delegations arrived with heavily armed escorts, a mix of crystalline Nexian guards, silicon-based Alterian sentinels, and representatives from other major powers. Executive Officer Rodriguez led them through the ship's curving corridors toward its heart. "Your vessel's design is unusual," observed the cetacean high speaker, her words translated from melodic whistles. "No weapon emplacements. Minimal shielding. Yet its power signature exceeds that of our largest battleships." "Power isn't always meant for destruction," Diana replied as they approached the synchrosphere's main chamber. "Sometimes it serves a greater purpose." The chamber doors parted to reveal a vast spherical space, its walls lined with neural interface surfaces that seemed to ripple with subtle patterns. At the center, a series of crystalline platforms hovered in a spiraling arrangement. "Welcome to humanity's contribution to galactic peace," Diana announced. The synchrosphere allows direct consciousness sharing between different species. Not just communication, but true understanding. "Today, we'll demonstrate with the Battle of Viridian." The alien representatives exchanged uneasy looks. The Nexian admiral's crystalline form vibrated with agitation. "You expect us to trust our minds to untested human technology?" "No," Diana replied. "I expect you to trust your own experiences." She nodded to Dr. Patel, who had joined them with his technical team. "Doctor, please show them the calibration recordings." Holographic images filled the chamber, test sessions showing humans sharing consciousness with various alien species. The delegates watched in growing fascination as the recordings demonstrated the safety protocols and successful exchanges. "I will participate," declared the Alterian representative, their silicon features shifting in what passed for determination. "If humans possess technology that could aid understanding, we must investigate." The Nexian admiral's crystalline surface churned with conflicting colors before settling into a resigned blue. "We too will participate. But any sign of deception will be impossible within the synchrosphere," Dr. Patel assured them. "The connection cannot transmit falsehood. It shares raw experience, unfiltered by conscious manipulation." The delegates took their positions on the floating platforms. Diana joined them, while Dr. Patel's team initiated the activation sequence. The chamber's walls began to pulse with stronger patterns as the neural interfaces powered up. Preparing consciousness sync, Dr. Patel announced. Remember, you'll experience the Battle of Viridian from multiple perspectives simultaneously. It may be disorienting at first. Diana felt the familiar sensation of her consciousness expanding as the synchrosphere engaged. The chamber dissolved around them, replaced by the starfield above Viridian. But this time, they weren't merely watching, they were experiencing it from within the minds of those who fought and died there. They were a Nexian gunner, crystal fingers interfacing with weapon controls, heart heavy with memories of family lost to Alterian attacks. They were an Alterian commander, silicon mind calculating trajectories while grieving colonies destroyed by Nexian expansion. They were the civilians on Viridian's surface, watching in horror as the sky filled with fire. The experiences cascaded through their linked minds: fear, anger, determination, regret. The weight of history and the cost of misunderstanding became viscerally real to each participant. When the synchrosphere finally deactivated, there was absolute silence in the chamber. The Nexian admiral's crystalline form had shifted to a deep purple Diana had never seen before. The Alterian representative's silicon features had reconfigured into an expression of profound disturbance. The cetacean high speaker's songs had fallen silent. This, Diana said softly, is what the Helios offers. Not weapons or power, but the ability to truly understand each other. To feel what others feel. To know why they fight, why they fear, why they hope. How many can your synchrosphere accommodate? The high speaker asked, her translated voice trembling. At full capacity? Thousands simultaneously. And the experiences can be recorded and shared with millions more. Diana met each delegate's gaze. The question isn't what the Helios can do, it's what you choose to do with this opportunity. The Nexian admiral's color stabilized into a thoughtful blue. Our council must be informed. This changes things. Everything, the Alterian representative corrected. This changes everything. As the delegates departed to report to their governments, Marcus approached Diana. They'll try to stop us, he warned. Technology this powerful makes us a threat to the established order. Diana watched the alien ships through the viewport, already seeing changes in their formation, from guards to escorts. They can try, she said. But you can't stop an idea whose time has come. And the galaxy is ready for this one. The Helios continued its journey, carrying its revolutionary technology toward the heart of the conflict zone. The true test still lay ahead, but for the first time, Diana felt certain they would succeed. Understanding, once achieved, could never be completely undone. The Helios emerged from hyperspace into chaos. The Nexian-Alterian front had erupted into full-scale warfare, with crystalline ships exchanging fire with silicon-hulled vessels across a battlefield littered with debris. A contested colony world hung in the background, its atmosphere scarred by orbital bombardment. Multiple weapons locks, Lieutenant Nash reported from Tactical. Both sides are targeting us. Commander Diana Winter remained outwardly calm, though her heart raced. Broadcast on all frequencies, maximum power. This is UES Helios calling all combat vessels. We are here under the authority of your respective diplomatic corps. Stand down and prepare to receive representatives. Dar. Raj Patel burst onto the bridge, his normally composed demeanor shaken. Commander, the energy discharge from their weapons is interfering with the synchrosphere's calibration. If we can't stabilize the field dash, we'll stabilize it, Diana cut him off. Because we have to. She turned to Executive Officer Rodriguez. Status of our invited guests. The diplomatic shuttles launched before the battle resumed, he reported. They're caught in the crossfire. Neither side will risk hitting their own diplomats, but they're still trading shots around them. Diana studied the tactical display, her mind racing. The Helios's demonstration back in Earth space had convinced enough high-level officials to support their mission, but clearly, the frontline commanders hadn't received, or were ignoring, the orders to cooperate. "Take us in," she ordered. "Position us between the fleets." "Commander," Marcus protested, "our shields won't withstand dash." "They won't fire on us," Diana said with more confidence than she felt. "Not with their own diplomats about to board." "Lieutenant Nash, project our shield bubble to cover the approaching shuttles." The Helios glided forward, its pearl-white hull standing in stark contrast to the weapon's fire crisscrossing space. As they moved to protect the diplomatic vessels, the firing gradually slowed, then stopped entirely. "All shuttles aboard," Marcus reported minutes later. "But Commander, we've got a situation in the docking bay. Both sides are demanding the other delegation be confined to quarters. They're close to violence." Diana was already moving. "Have security teams standing by, but do not engage. Direct everyone to the synchrosphere. Now." She arrived at the docking bay to find Nexian crystal troops facing off against Alterian silicon guards, their respective diplomats behind them. The air crackled with tension and the threat of imminent violence. "Your ship will surrender to Nexian authority," the crystal-formed admiral from their earlier demonstration demanded. "The Alterians cannot be trusted with this technology. The Nexians will weaponize consciousness sharing," the Alterian commander countered, their silicon features rearranging in patterns of rage. "They must be prevented from dash." "Enough." Diana's voice cut through the chaos. "Look outside. Look at what your distrust has wrought. That colony down there, how many civilians are dying while you argue? The synchrosphere is ready. You've experienced it once. Experience it again, but this time, with those dying right now." Her words struck home. The recent memory of their shared consciousness experience gave her words weight that mere diplomacy could never achieve. "Follow me," she said more quietly. "All of you. Let's see this war through the eyes of those fighting it. Right now. In real time." The synchrosphere had never been tested with an active battle. Dr. Patel's concerns about calibration were valid. But as the delegates took their positions and the neural interfaces activated, Diana knew they had no choice but to succeed. The chamber hummed to life, and suddenly they were everywhere at once. They were a Nexian pilot, crystal hands steady on controls while watching friends shatter into fragments. They were an Alterian gunner, silicon consciousness calculating trajectories while processing the death of squadron mates. They were colonists huddled in bunkers, children of both species crying together in fear. But something unexpected happened. As the battle raged around them, the shared consciousness began to ripple outward. Crews on nearby ships, linked through their commanders in the synchrosphere, started experiencing echoes of the connection. The effect cascaded through the fleets, a wave of shared understanding spreading ship by ship. Weapons fell silent. Ships backed away from their attack vectors. On the planet below, ground forces stopped advancing, troops looking at their enemies and seeing themselves. When the synchrosphere deactivated, the chamber was silent save for the sound of breathing, and the subtle crystalline chimes of Nexian emotion. "We." The Nexian admiral's voice wavered, their crystalline form pulsing with unfamiliar colors. "We felt their deaths. All of them. Both sides. As did we." The Alterian commander's silicon features had reconfigured into something Diana read as profound shock. The fear in the bunkers, the grief in the gun stations, it was all the same, Diana finished quietly. Fear is fear. Grief is grief. Pain is pain. No matter what form of life experiences it. The diplomatic teams, shaken but transformed by their experience, began drafting an immediate ceasefire. But Diana knew this was just the beginning. The real work would be helping both sides process what they'd experienced, using their newfound understanding to build lasting peace. "Commander," Marcus approached with a troubled expression. "Word of what happened here is spreading. We're receiving requests, demands, really, from dozens of worlds. Everyone wants the Helios to mediate their conflicts." Diana gazed out at the now quiet battlefield, watching former enemies rendering aid to each other's damaged ships. "Then we'd better get to work," she said. "Because this is what the Helios was built for. Not to conquer the galaxy, but to help it conquer itself," Marcus finished, finally understanding. The Helios hung in space between the reconciling fleets, its pearlescent hull reflecting the light of distant stars. In its heart, the synchrosphere hummed quietly, ready to bridge not just minds, but the ancient divisions that had kept the galaxy's peoples apart for so long. 3 months after the Nexian-Altarian ceasefire, the Helios had mediated 15 major conflicts across 5 sectors of space. But success bred fear among those who prospered from division, and fear bred desperate action. Commander Diana Winter knew something was wrong the moment she stepped onto the bridge. The normal hum of the ship's systems had changed pitch, almost imperceptibly. "Status report," she demanded. Lieutenant Nash's fingers flew across her console. "Power fluctuations in the synchrosphere. Dr. Patel reports unauthorized access attempts in the neural interface systems. Security breach in sections 12 through 15, Marcus added, his face grim. And we've lost contact with the engineering team." Diana's mind raced. The Helios was preparing to host a historic summit, representatives from 30 species gathering to establish new protocols for consciousness-sharing technology. If someone had infiltrated the ship, "Lock down all critical systems," she ordered. "And get me Dr. Patel." The scientist's voice came through filled with static. "Commander, they're trying to rewrite the synchrosphere's base protocols. If they succeed, they could turn it into a weapon, force consciousness linking without consent, manipulate shared experiences. The ship shuddered as an explosion rocked the lower decks. Warning lights flashed across every console. Dance of possibility. The hidden research facility in Saturn's rings bustled with activity. Elena watched from a quantum observation deck as 3 more prototype ships underwent final assembly, each one incorporating improvements based on data from the Paradox engine. The deck itself existed in a quantum superposition, allowing her to observe multiple layers of reality simultaneously, a technology that would have driven any hegemony observer insane. "The neural interface is evolving," Jasmine reported, showing Elena the latest scans. "Your consciousness isn't just controlling the ship anymore, you're reshaping its quantum structure at a fundamental level." Before Elena could respond, the facility's alert system pulsed with quantum warnings. Dr. Ryoko Tanaka, the Resistance's head of strategic operations, materialized in the observation deck through a quantum projection. "Hegemony battle fleet incoming," she announced without preamble. 37 capital ships, including their new probability-locked dreadnought. "They're not searching anymore, they know exactly where we are." Elena felt her stomach drop. "How?" "We have a traitor," Marcus said, rushing into the observation deck. "Someone transmitted our quantum signatures directly to the Hegemony Science Council. They're using the data to calibrate their probability sensors." Through the quantum field, Elena could already sense the approaching fleet. Unlike normal hegemony vessels that appeared as rigid constructs of mathematical certainty, these ships rippled with adapted countermeasures. They had learned from their earlier encounters. "How long do we have?" she asked. 20 minutes until they're in weapons range," Ryoko replied. "We've started evacuating non-essential personnel, but we can't let them capture this facility," Elena finished. "The quantum drive research, the neural interface data, it would give them everything they need to develop countermeasures against human quantum navigation." "We need a diversion," Marcus said. "Something to split their fleet, give our evacuation ships a chance." Elena studied the quantum tactical display, watching probability lines shift and interweave. The hegemony fleet's formation was perfect, mathematically optimal for both attack and defense. But that mathematical perfection was also a weakness. What if we gave them something their probability calculations can't ignore, she suggested. Dr. Rahman, you said the paradox engine has been adapting to my neural patterns. Could we use that to generate a quantum anomaly large enough to disrupt their formation? Victor's eyes widened. Theoretically, yes. But the power requirements would be enormous. And the strain on your consciousness could kill you, Jasmine finished. The neural feedback would be unlike anything we've tested. Better than letting the hegemony win, Elena said, heading for the paradox engine's docking bay. Get everyone else to the evacuation ships. I'll buy you the time you need. The neural interface chair felt different now, more like settling into a familiar embrace than connecting to alien technology. As Elena's consciousness expanded into the ship's systems, she felt the quantum fields responding more smoothly than ever before. Fleet is entering final attack range, Ryoko's voice came through both conventional comms and quantum channels. Evacuation ships launching now. Elena guided the paradox engine out of the facility, feeling the hostile attention of the hegemony fleet lock onto her ship. Their probability sensors had indeed been modified, she could feel them trying to collapse her quantum state into a single predictable trajectory. Initiating quantum field expansion, Victor reported from his temporary station on the bridge. Power levels at maximum. Elena closed her eyes, letting her consciousness fully merge with the ship's quantum systems. She stopped trying to exist in a single defined state and instead embraced the infinite possibility space that humans naturally inhabited. Hope and fear, certainty and doubt, existence and non-existence, she held all these contradictions in her mind simultaneously. The effect rippled outward through space itself. Reality shimmered as probability fields collided and merged. The perfectly ordered formation of the hegemony fleet began to waver as their sensors encountered mathematical impossibilities. It's working! Marcus exclaimed. Their probability-locked systems can't handle the quantum interference pattern. Their formation is breaking up. Through the quantum field, Elena saw the hegemony ships struggling to maintain their mathematical certainty in the face of pure possibility. But the strain was immense, both on the ship's systems and on her own mind. Warning alerts flashed across multiple probability states as power conduits began to overload. Evacuation ships clear, Ryoko reported. Get out of there, Commander. Elena prepared to disengage, but something in the quantum field caught her attention. The hegemony's dreadnought was behaving differently than the other ships. Instead of trying to impose mathematical order on the chaos, it was adapting. That's impossible, she whispered, both to herself and through the ship's quantum comm, they can't. The realization hit her just as the dreadnought's quantum signature shifted. The ship wasn't crewed by normal hegemony observers. They had found others like her, humans willing to work for the hegemony, using their natural quantum consciousness against their own kind. Elena, get out of there. Marcus's voice was desperate. The power core is going critical. She wanted to retreat, to pull back into normal space, but the dreadnought had locked onto her quantum signature. Its human crew understood how she thought, how she would try to escape. Every probability path she could see led to capture or destruction. Unless. Calculate nothing, she whispered, remembering her old flight instructor's paradoxical advice. Plan everything. Elena let go of conscious control, allowing her quantum-enhanced consciousness to expand beyond the ship's systems and into the fabric of spacetime itself. She wasn't just flying the paradox engine anymore, she was becoming one with the quantum possibility space that underlay all of reality. The dreadnought's attack struck empty space as the paradox engine existed everywhere and nowhere, its quantum state so undefined that even human consciousness couldn't predict its location. Energy readings spiked impossibly high as reality itself seemed to bend around the ship. Status report. Marcus called. Elena, can you hear us? She could hear them, across all possible versions of reality simultaneously. And in that infinite moment of quantum superposition, Elena saw something that changed everything she thought she knew about their fight against the hegemony. We've been asking the wrong questions, she said, her voice reaching her crew across quantum channels that shouldn't have existed. This isn't about humans versus the hegemony. It's about the nature of consciousness itself. And I know where we need to go next. The paradox engine flickered across multiple realities before settling into a single quantum state, its hull transformed by its journey through pure possibility. Behind them, the hegemony fleet hung in disarray, their perfect mathematical order shattered by something their equations said could never exist. Where? Marcus asked. Elena smiled, setting a course through probability space that no navigation computer could have calculated. To find out why the hegemony is so afraid of quantum consciousness. And why they came to our solar system in the first place.